Percy enjoyed working in the yard. Edward had taught him well, and he kept the trucks and coaches in good order. His cheerful nature was a welcome change from the yard's bad atmosphere. One day, as Percy was shunting, he saw Thomas puffing into the station with Annie and Clarabelle. He didn't take much notice at first, but when the guard blew his whistle, he was surprised to see Thomas backing his train down the branch line. Percy was very inquisitive when he next saw Thomas. "How do you do that?" quizzed Percy. "Do what?" asked Thomas. "Push your train down the line. Your driver can't possibly see what's coming." Now, Thomas is a very unique engine. Thanks to special rods and connectors, he can be driven from Clarabelle's cab, which means that he can stay at one end of his train for both journeys. "Oh," smirked Thomas, "not every engine can do it. You need certain experience." "I bet I could do it," Percy bubbled. "I doubt it," snorted Thomas. "You're just not special like I am." He left the station, chortling as he went. "Not special," fumed Percy. "I'll show that Thomas. Just let him wait." When the big engines were shut up in the shed, Sir Topham Hatt asked Percy to look after the branch lines. He was excited to get out of the yard and to show Thomas a thing or two. But he soon found his hopes were dashed. His driver always ran him round to the back of the train for the return journey. He tried locking his brakes. He tried starting before he could be uncoupled. But no matter what he did, his driver always won in the end. One day, he brought the first train to the station as usual. He was about to be uncoupled for the return journey when the station master came running. "The points are acting up, and we can't fix them. You'll have to push the train to the next station, I'm afraid." Percy was ecstatic. "Now's the time! Now's the time!" "Listen to me, Percy," said his driver. "You are pushing the train to the first station, and I want no tricks when it's time to run you round back, understand?" Yes, sir," gulped Percy. "Unless there's a points failure at the next station, too," Percy whispered to Annie. Annie just rolled her eyes. The fireman was anxious. "Do you think we'll manage?" he asked. "It's only a short distance," replied the driver. "We shouldn't have any trouble." Little did he know, a short distance was all trouble needed. Percy was enjoying himself immensely. He felt so clever. Look at me now, look at me now. Not so unique now, are you, Thomas? The driver was having a hard time seeing. The guard tried to keep watch as best he could, but Percy bumped about so much that he spilled tea all over his uniform. Bother! He fumed and went searching for a rag. That's when the trouble appeared. A lorry had stalled on the line at the level crossing. The driver was working on its engine. Bertie was impatient by the delay. "Come on," he honked impatiently. "I got places to be." The driver grunted at him and continued working on the lorry's engine. Bertie rolled his eyes. Then he looked down the line. A train was fast approaching. "Stop! Stop!" Bertie hollered, honking his horn frantically. Clarabelle was anxious. "Brakes! Brakes!" she shrieked. The guard, turning his attention back to the rails, scrambled to the brake handle, and he leaned out the window and blew his whistle furiously. Percy put all his effort into stopping and shut his eyes. When he opened his eyes, he saw that Clarabelle's buffers were merely inches from the buffers. Bertie was cross. "What's the matter with you engines? You could have hurt your passengers." Percy was embarrassed. "I only wanted to show Thomas that I was a special engine too." "Special? What are you on about?" asked his driver. Percy recounted what happened. The driver was in shreds. "Trust me, Percy. Thomas is by no means special." He explained about the rods and connectors. Percy felt very foolish. Soon the lorry's engine was fixed, and Percy carefully backed the train to the next station. As Percy's driver ran him round to the back of the train, he thought about how foolish he'd been. "Cheer up," encouraged Clarabelle. "You did well to get us here. And besides, Thomas's special controls don't always work in the end." "They don't?" asked Percy. "Heavens, no. When the driver's in my cab, Thomas goes off daydreaming and doesn't pay attention. You wouldn't believe how often he overruns the platform." Percy laughed all the way to the next station as Clarabelle recounted all of Thomas's misfortunes. Percy had no more misfortunes for the rest of the day and returned to shunting when the big engines were finally let out. "You're meant to stop there after all." Annie and Clarabelle giggled, while Thomas turned bright red. He never mentioned being a special engine after that.